All right, let's go through that process we went over today. I'm going to go grab an image from my downloads. It's sent to myself, so feel free to read my Gmail here. It's very interesting, full of lots of spam, but here's a picture I sent to myself via my phone of a hallway. So hallways are really nice because they're easy. There's not a whole lot of elements in here. It's kind of empty space. So it's perfect for this next effect. And it's tricky, but man, is it really one of my favorite things. Open this up in Photoshop here. We're going to use this little tool called a vanishing point. So it's actually, oddly enough, under filters, go to vanishing point. And in here, we can set 4 points, and you can start anywhere you want to. I'm going to start this time with the floor because I can actually see the grid pattern in the floor, and it's fairly visible. Well, maybe I'm going to use this wall here. Well, it's hard to decide. Actually, I'm going to use the wall here. So I can go right down this edge of this doorway, and that's kind of an important part, just to get this first edge perfectly lined. And get all the edges lined up, and we get a vanishing point. So this is a vanishing point along this entire wall. I could grab this edge here and pull it out. That's pretty much describes the edge here. I'm going to pull this out a little bit more till the grid lines match up with the doorway. Oops, let me do that real quick. All right, once that's done, here's where the magic starts. Hold the control key down. On a Mac, it might be the command key. And drag one of these bottom edges here. If you drag this out, it will automatically go to the next edge and pretty much nail that other floor doorway. We'll grab this one here and pull this back a little bit. And we'll pull this way back into the end of the hall. And this guy here, same thing. Pull that back to the end of the hall as well. Control click over up here again, command on the Mac. And drag this over across the top. We're going to just bound this whole area with these vanishing point kind of virtual walls into there. That's pretty good. Now the back wall, same thing. Just grab any one of these edges, top, bottom, doesn't really matter. Hold the control key down. What happens is it comes out pretty much what's called normal or perpendicular to the edge that you're looking at. So now we have 4 edges here and a 5th edge for the back plane. That's going to be plenty. The right-hand side I'm going to pull to the right a little bit and just complete the picture. These will be exported as planes inside of After Effects. So way up here in this tiny little hamburger is where all the magic happens. Click here, go down to Export to After Effects, VPE. You can also export DXF and 3ds files too for exporting into other 3D packages, but this guy right here is amazing. I'm going to find a folder here, so I'm going to go into Dropbox. I'm going to Flashpoint here. I'm going to go to Motion Graphics. I'm going to put a folder here because it's going to make up 7 different files. This is going to be called Hallway, VPE, Vanishing Point file. Drag inside of there, and then just title this, whatever you want to call it, Flashpoint Hallway. .vpe. Hit save, and that's pretty much it. A lot of actual real work done, projection mapping textures onto 3D elements is done with a few clicks. I've done this in other packages. This is amazing. Now in After Effects, I'll open up an old project here. See file open project. Let me find one here. I'll open up one of our projects that I've been adding to 1,000 times. Motion graphics, there we go. I better make a new file, a new project one of these days. You know, in fact, oh, what the hell, I'll keep adding to this one, why not? This thing's become like crazy large. I don't have all the typeface installed. Hey, there's something we did a little bit earlier today. Okay, so we're gonna make a new composition. Or actually, no, we don't even need to do the new composition. This will make a composition all by itself. It's incredible. I'm kind of geeking out about this, but you guys will see why. I'm going to go to Import, and go down to Vanishing Point VPE file. Grab the Hallway VPE, Just grab the hallway VPE file. That's all we need, just that one thing. It's got a bunch of other files in the same folder. So if we click on all files, we'd see a bunch of other stuff in there, but that's all we need, just that one. It comes in, you gotta wait for it for a second, and there it is, the Flashpoint hallway. It's a comp all by itself, so double click that, and we're in the space. Now, you kind of may be confused about what's going on here. What we have is we have a camera, which we'll move around in a second, the transform, and we have a parent object and about 5 different these PNG files, Flash PNG files. Cool. So we don't worry about that. We're to move the camera. So to move the camera around, we can either physically move the camera by, I'm going to separate the dimensions on the camera here, by moving the camera like this on the x-axis, moving on the y-axis up and down, or the z-axis in and out. Or we can go to the camera tool, which is here. If you right-click or hold down the camera, you get the orbit, track, and track Z. If you do the unified camera tool, you can hold the option key and right mouse button and pan, pull backwards, and it will zoom out. Alt middle mouse button, I can pan around. And alt left mouse button, I can orbit up like this. Now it's doing a lot of 3D stuff, so it actually gives you a preview here for a second, but here we go. Look at that. I'm now back in my hallway. It takes a little practice. The alt right mouse button to zoom, middle mouse button to pan, and left mouse button to orbit. The orbiting is very sensitive, so be careful with that. Once you get the orbit thing in there, maybe just get it locked in and just do this. Now the camera we have is actually a camera we have options about we can play around with. I can lower the zoom, and the zooming will make it more of a wide angle. If I lower the zoom, it's more of a wide angle camera. So if I make it a wide angle camera, I can kind of get, I'm still the same distance away, I'm just getting more of a view of the rest of the world. And I can alt right mouse button and move inward. I'm trucking in, I'm physically moving the camera closer to the scene. And I'm going to turn off preview here, which is under, I'm going to turn this to half resolution. With half resolution, you might get a better preview. Here, how do we preview? Turn on preview. There's a way to turn on always high resolution. Yeah, I just can't remember. Fast preview is going to be fast draft. Nope, that's not what I want. Yeah, so we're just going to get adaptive resolution. The video card on this machine is not quite as strong as the one I have at work, so this might be a little bit easier. So there, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and you can see I'm actually looking into this viewport. Let me pause this because my dog needs to be walked. Give her a quick walk outside, and I'll be right back. Okay, cool. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can kind of see the entire composite there. I was actually tied it a little bit too tight. So this fit right here, if I hit fit, that's the composition, which by the way, you can go to composition and set the composition settings to whatever size you want. It's a 4K by 324. That's kind of ridiculous. I'll go 1024 by 1080. And it needs to be square pixels. So again, for my money, DVC Pro. Yeah, 1280. No, that's not it. Hold on. Yeah, here it is. So HDTV 1080, 1920 by 1080 square pixels. Again, it's a brand new laptop. I just got it, so I'm trying to reset up all my previous settings. So there's the view from the camera. Again, if I pan out, okay, good. The reason why I was going so slow is because it was just pretty much too much resolution. It couldn't quite handle all that data. So now a lot faster. So if I pan, you can sort of see I can move in like that in the space. So you kind of want to move in a little bit further. And now the illusion is kept here. So I'm going to set the camera position, X position. I'm going to lower that a little bit like this and set that there, X, Y, and Z. I'll set the orientation as well in case I ever want to move it. In fact, I'm going to do rotations instead of orientation. And that should do it. I'm going to move in 2 seconds is by far plenty enough time. So I'm going to go 2 seconds. Let's zoom in this view here. And there we go. So let's go there, our first keyframe. Our last keyframe is going to be here, and I'm going to move it in. And this is going to be much easier if I kind of do X position this way. Just pan across with this X position number, like that. And I'm going to move it in a little bit on the Z position. So increase numbers there, like that. Maybe raise it up a little bit. It's a little bit tilted relative to the world. So I go from here to here. Now I get this kind of parallax view. So hit play. That's the view. Cool. I'm going to close this up because this is irritating. Go to Effects and Presets. There we go. I'm going to right click on these keyframes and F9 to easy ease in out. So it's going to go in, start slow, move in faster, then slow down again at the end. Maybe I'll do a little bit slower, like that. Play one more time. Cool. So now let's add in the lettering. We'll do that in the next video.